So now we know how to graph ellipses. So can we work backwards and write an equation for an ellipse? If we're given vertices or co-vertices or foci, can we take that information and write the equation that would give us that ellipse? So we'll look at a couple examples, and that will be it for section 4. So in our first example, we're told that the vertices are at -2, 1 and -2, 9. And then the co-vertices are at -4, 5 and 0, 5. There's two things that I think are helpful to do first. One is to set up just the general equation that we're trying to fill in the blanks for. So we know that our equation is x something squared over something plus y something squared over something, and that's going to be equal to 1. So we're trying to fill in a horizontal shift and then our x radius underneath, and our y radius is underneath. So once we've done that, I think the other helpful thing to do is to just draw a real rough plot of the graph that we have. So our vertices are at -2, 1 and -2, 9. And then our co-vertices are at -4, 5 and 0, 5. So that means that the center of this, the coordinates for our center would be -2, 5, because that's going to be right between our vertices and right between our co-vertices. So -2, 5. So that means that in our equation, to shift left 2, we should see x plus 2. And to shift up 5, we should see y minus 5. So that gets us our center. So now the only thing we need to determine is our x radius and our y radius. So our x radius is from -2 over to 0. So that's a distance of 2. So underneath in our equation is that radius squared. So we should see a 2 squared down there, which would be a 4, giving us that x radius of 2. And then our y radius, we're going from 5 up to 9. We're going from 5 up to 9, so that's a distance of 4. Or from 5 down to 1 here would be a distance of 4, so our y radius is 4. So in our equation, we should see a 16, giving us a y radius of 4. So our equation on this one would be x plus 2 squared over 4 plus y minus 5 squared over 16 is equal to 1. So now we have our second example. This time we're told our vertices are at -3, 4 and 5, 4, and then our foci are at -1, 4 and 3, 4. So in this one, we're going to have to use that c squared equals a squared minus b squared in order to find out what our the radius for our co-vertices would be. But again, I think what we should do first is just put in the skeleton for our equation of an ellipse. So x squared over something plus y something squared over something is equal to 1. And then again from there, let's make a rough sketch. So our vertices are at -3, 4 and 5, 4. Let's stop right there and find the center of that quick. So from -3, 4 to 5, 4, that's a distance of 8. So right in the middle of those would be right there at 1, 4 is going to be our center. So to get to a center of 1, 4, we need to shift right 1. So we should see x minus 1 in our equation. To shift up 4, that's y minus 4. So now we've got our center located. The next piece we'll plot is the foci. So our foci are at -1, 4, and 3, 4. So we have two different radiuses to look at. The distance from the center to our foci, so from 1 to 3 there is 2. And then the distance to our vertices, so our x radius, from 1 to 5, looks like that's 4. So our x radius is 4, so that means we should have our x squared over 16, because that would give us an x radius of 4. And then that also means that we can use the c squared equals a squared minus b squared to find out what b squared is, what would go under the y squared. So c is 2, so c squared is 4, because again, c is the distance to the foci. So that distance is 2. 2 squared is 4. And then a squared, that's the distance to our vertices. So in this case, that was 4. So 4 squared is 16 minus b squared. So 16 minus b squared equals 4. We can move things around, but b squared is going to end up being 12. And we don't need to find b. We don't need to take the square root of that, because that will give us the exact distance up and down to the co-vertices. But in our equation, that distance is squared. So it's going to be a 12 underneath in our equation. Okay? If we were to square root that, we would just square it again to put it back in the equation. So that would be 2 steps that just put us back to where we were, so we don't really need to worry about those. So our equation in the end is x minus 1 squared over 16 plus y minus 4 squared over 12 equals 1.